Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some consequences for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Collected by me, Oz. Originally posted to r/bestof and collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Course 5171, posted to r/CoWorker stories. Nightmare coworker thinks he's untouchable. Slips up. So, I'm currently working for a rather large discounter as a cashier and stocker. This means that we have minimal staff to keep the store running. 2 minimum, 3 to 4 on busier days. This means that each worker not only has a higher workload, but also means that everyone, except the first register, needs to do multiple things throughout their shift. The one responsible for the organization of tasks is the most senior full-time employee, internally known as the vice manager. Names and exact jobs and titles have been changed for privacy, obviously. Recently, we've fallen into a staff shortage due to our previous store manager getting promoted, and their replacement, along with 2 other coworkers, quitting due to medical issues and/or moving to a different city. This meant that Regional was scrambling for new hires and onboarded quickly, skipping most of the formal onboarding process, which for me included about 8 paid hours of e-learning courses. 2 of the 3 new hires were not noteworthy in the slightest. But number 3? Let's call him John. Certainly was a character. John is a 25-year-old toxically friendly non-native part-time worker that also works at a fast food chain across town as his second job. When John was interviewed, he not only lied about previous experience, as he claimed he worked for one of our sister organizations, so knew all the systems, but also lied about his availability, given his other job. This led to the interviewer from Regional saying that he's eligible to be a vice manager. When he started, due to the rushed hiring and lack of store manager, he didn't do any of the e-learning. This is critical, since several of those, Register 101, Health and Safety, Conflict Resolution, Youth Protection, are legally required to be allowed to work a register. Since we didn't know that he hadn't done those before at our sister store, he was allowed to operate the register, which he was unsurprisingly very bad at. Anyways, on day 2 of working with us, I had him as my second cashier, and he was already gossiping about the shift's vice manager, saying how she was bad at her job and that she couldn't make it at a fast food place. Then he complimented our most senior full-time employee, saying, "Wow, you did that really well despite being, you know." Then he started actively spreading minor rumors about certain employees hating other employees, all whilst having the ego of a lifetime. If you asked him anything, he'd claim to know it, then tell you something completely wrong. He'd casually state that he was the fastest and most orderly and best at facing, etc., 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 all whilst his cash register performance, digitally tracked, was severely under the quota. Note that our quota isn't hard to hit. Once you've been at the register for a month or so, you'll hit it, and there's no repercussions for it unless you're under it consistently. Most exceeded by 30%. This underperformance is why he was then subsequently denied the ability to be a vice manager of a shift, since at that point it had also come out that he didn't work in our sister store, but worked in a bakery in the same building as one. Then I was once again paired with him for a shift a few days ago. This is now month 3 or so of his employment, and he is universally disliked as a gossiper, underperformer, and fake nice coworker. Whilst everyone is still professional, he isn't on a friendly basis with anyone, as everyone knows about his gossiping and weird self-congratulatory compliments. That day, I find out that he's handed in his 2-week notice. And what does he do? Underperform even harder. At one point during the day, his register crashes. When this happens, that register is out of commission for a good 10 minutes, due to the automatic reboot sequence. The current vice manager then came to the register to see what's up and initiated the restart. I tell him, "You could go outside and put the carts in the pen. They've been messy for a few weeks now." To which he responds, not to me, but the vice manager, "This dude doesn't have shit to say here." To which the vice manager responded, "It's still a good idea. Come on, let's go outside." At this point, they had a talk outside that I didn't witness, but got a transcript of later. "John, this clown doesn't have shit to say here. I'm practically doing your job." Vice manager, "He's been here for way longer than you. And if regional walked in when you were just sitting there, it'd be your ass." John, "He just wants to boss me around. That's racist." Vice manager, "No, he suggested something that needs to be done anyways, and that he can't do it as first register." John, "He obviously just wants to boss me around. I'm way higher than him in the hierarchy. He's just a cashier. I'm untouchable. They can't fire me. I already quit. I can do what I want and that idiot can't make me do shit." Vice manager, "Calm down. Then come back in and go back to your register. End of discussion." After that, John looked visibly angry at me for the rest of the day. Now, do note that John was 90 minutes late that day, after calling in that he'd be an hour late 10 minutes before his shift started. Anyways, I went to the vice manager after that to talk with him about John, where I found out about the conversation in rough strokes. Then I didn't see John until the end of the day, but what happened during that time is going to end up with a severe whooping next week. John wanted to go 5 minutes early to catch the next public transit time, which was exactly at close. Whilst we usually take 15 minutes to close the store, paid, due to the vice manager being sick of John, he agreed, but changed his schedule so he wouldn't be paid the 15 minutes after close. Then, John called the vice manager, who was in the store talking to a coworker, Dora, that had come in for shopping late in the evening. Dora had, at that point, told John that he could restock the bottled water, since there was still time. Vice manager, "Hey John, what's up?" John, on speaker, "Yeah, I'm done with the register. That stupid Dora just told me to restock the water. Who does that think she is?" Vice manager, stunned, "Yeah, I'm gonna come get your register locked up. Be right there." Now, obviously, Dora heard that. She didn't say anything, so John didn't know she heard, but told the vice manager that she'd stay after close to talk to him. I don't think I've heard any coworker use any curse words or insults ever, so this is a major out of bounds. During close, she asks us if we're okay with being listed as witnesses, to which we agreed, and she said that next Monday, so in a few hours, she'd be contacting corporate to see if she can make him exit a little faster and on fire. This is getting interesting. Update, December 29th, 2025. Hello again, it's been 2 weeks since the original post, since I wanted to wait for the full process to unravel, which was slowed by the Christmas chaos. Original post can be found here. Linky. As a quick reminder, the nightmare coworker John is a 25-year-old, incredibly incapable, toxically friendly part-timer that lied on his application about having worked for us in the past. After being a pain in the ass for a good quarter, then quitting and insulting one of our VMs, vice manager, Dora, by accident. So, after that incident, Dora went to the regional manager to report this. This isn't the first report about John, given his track record as incapable, but it was the last. Though that's not quite correct, but I'll get to that later. Now, as mentioned in the original post, our atmosphere is very friendly, and even mild insults towards coworkers would get you a talking to. So his behavior was phenomenally out of line, especially to an off-duty vice manager. Dora is also a vice manager. Though I don't know the full story, from what I could gather, several from the upper brass came to our store to talk to our store manager, Dora, and John, one by one, with 3 corporate members each. Dora said that they meticulously went through the event with her, but seemed generally pretty unfazed in their expressions. The store manager said that they just asked about how much I trust you, Dora and a few others, then looked around the store like the Inquisition and left. No idea why they came. Inspection isn't for another 3 weeks at least. Inquisition is what we call quality assurance, audits, and revisions, which is basically just the audit guys. Now this Monday, I look at the work schedule, and John is completely gone. Not even a listing with no hours, just removed. Since I was heading that way anyway for shopping, I hopped in and asked that day's vice manager, who said, "No idea. They usually don't go away until at least a month after their last day." And the store manager said, "I don't think I can tell you what I know. If you want to know, go ask Claire." Now, Claire is our regional manager, who we're on quite good terms with. So I hit up Claire after getting back. Me. "Hey, Claire." Claire. "Hey, OP, what's up? I thought you were off until the 3rd. "Yeah, I am. Just wanted to ask something a little off the record." "Okay, let's see what I can do for you." "So, just out of curiosity, what happened to John? He's not on the timetable anymore, and I haven't seen any goodbyes." "Oh, yeah, John. John is about as close to super fired as possible. After Dora called the HR director, HR sent out some guys to check up on things, and John was stealing stuff. Not much, at least not much we can prove, but enough to fire him on the spot. His personnel file is also marked with do not hire and do not recommend, so I doubt he'll ever get a job with any company we're working with." "They can do that?" "Apparently. I can't know that much. Anything other than that?" No, that's it. Happy New Year's if we don't hear each other anymore." "You too." "So yeah, John is super fired. Sadly, no epic battle. Some of you have attempted to guess where I work, though none were correct. If all our subsidiaries are counted together, though, we have a little over 3 times as many employees as DG, though our customer base is just as animalistic. Given John is also likely blocked from working for our suppliers, I think a good 500,000 jobs are forever out of John's reach. And as far as I know, most discounters call around to other brands to see if a person is a no-no. So at least there's that. Other than that, happy belated Christmas and Happy New Year's in advance. Hope you all survive the holidays and manage to get some family time. Now let's make it past New Year's. Without me, since I took time off." Out of all the things not to do when applying for a new job, don't lie about your resume to get hired because that will come out in the wash. And especially, don't lie about your resume and then brag about being others because you lied about your resume. Just because you went and fraudulently wiggled your wormy exterior into the company doesn't mean that everyone else did. Everyone else is actually properly trained. You are not. So playing the, "Man, I'm just so much better than all of you," it's not really going to get you far, and it's only going to put a massive target on your back. Like when I used to work in fast food, God, now a fucking decade ago. There were times where I would just kind of help an employee when they made a mistake. Sweep it under the rug, make sure it was fine, make sure the mess was cleaned up, make sure no one knew about it. So that way, they would stick around because I liked working with them. But if you're gonna be a John, I'm not helping you clean shit. That's on you, buddy. Posted by Doll Girl Trixie to UhOhConsequences. Originally posted to r/bestof by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Throw RA Masonic Wife, posted to r/relationship advice, November 30th, 2024. My 35 female, husband's 34 male dedication to Freemasonry is destroying our marriage and his life. How do I get this across to him? So, content warning for discrimination, as well as a glossary of acronyms provided by the Caterpillar. MM is Master Mason, OES is Order of Eastern Star, WM is Worshipful Master, and PM is Past Master. Hi there, longtime reader but a first-time poster. The long and short is that my, for about 6 years, now husband has been a Freemason, and I've always supported him on this. My grandfather was a Freemason, so it's not really new to me or anything, and I don't believe in any of the conspiracy crap you find online. But I'm starting to think it may not be the best for him. My grandpa always used to say it went family, work, masonry. But in my husband's case, it's more masonry, 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 then family, then work, then masonry again. He attends lodge nearly every night. For context, my grandpa would go a couple times a month. And yet, he's only a fellow craft, so not a part of the add-on things like the Scottish Rite or Shriners or anything. I genuinely don't know how he has the stamina for it because I'm a part of an improv theater club, and frankly, every other week is enough. Sometimes he's gone for hours, other times an hour or even less. When I ask him what he's doing, he gets defensive and says he can't tell me because he has to maintain secrecy. I knew full well there'd be some lessons and ceremonies I wouldn't exactly be getting a front row seat for, but I don't think it's that unfair I ask what he could be possibly doing that occupies him practically daily. Hell, some days when he comes back early, he goes to his man cave to do more work for them. Apparently, he's volunteered to do admin work for his Grand Lodge, but when does it end? He doesn't get paid for any of this, and he spends so much on dues to actually do this. I've even tried to get involved with the Order of the Eastern Star, something I've always wanted to be a part of, but he point blank shut it down and said that we can only look into that when he becomes a Master Mason, which is apparently still years away. And it's not even just our marriage it's affecting. Some weeks, he's out so late with his lodge buddies, he doesn't take care of himself. There's been times he hasn't worn clean clothes or shaved, and plenty of times he's gone into work without showering. Sometimes he doesn't even go into work and just calls in hours late to say he's been called for urgent lodge business. His boss is too good to him and lets it slide because he's genuinely blown away my husband's in the Masons and thinks these meetings must be dead important. I get a lot of these guys are going to be retired, but Jesus Christ, surely they have to know how it works. It's making a bad impression with people, and I genuinely can't remember the last time we did a thing together as a couple. Plus, our bedroom has been dead for at least a year, which I've sort of put up with because I have low libido, but I guess it's just another symptom. Every time I ask him to do anything, he just tells me he's too tired. I guess, how do I get across to him his Masonic life needs to slow down? It's not even affecting just me, it's affecting our whole lives, but I don't even know where to begin. I don't want him to leave the Masons, just maybe calm it down a little so we have our lives back? How can I get this across to him without seeming that I'm jealous of the secrets or I want to worsen the wedge between us? By the way, I did actually email the Worshipful Master in his lodge just to say I'm kind of worried for him, but I've not heard back yet, and if they're all this active, not sure how much help he'll be. Thanks for any advice. Edit. The Worshipful Master just emailed me, apologized for taking his time, and explained my husband has not been a member of that lodge for at least 5 years, having left just under a year after he joined. Apparently, he had difficulties with the leadership and had been repeatedly cautioned for soliciting the other lodge members. He told me he checked with the other lodges in the area and none of them have any record of him switching, so it seems he demitted entirely. Relevant comments. Sky XIV. Are you actually sure this is where he's going every night, or do you think he's cheating? Because honestly, it sounds like cheating. OP responds, I just can't imagine he'd do that, frankly. User FewerFly232 comments, he's not in the lodge every night. He's either drinking, doing drugs, or something else like gambling or cheating. Something addictive, something he's willing to wreck his life over. Please start digging. Starting with financials. Where is he spending his money? What do you have access to? Who is he spending time with? Then, go to the lodge, join the women's division, find out how often the meetings actually are. OP responds, I have taken a look at his bank account and it always goes to something called Starfield Services, but I can't find any information on it, so I just assumed that's what the lodge uses to get their money. User Nipnoples comments, Googled it, and it looks like it's encryption for websites. That's really weird. From their website, our SSL certificate protect a single domain or multiple domain websites. We use a strong SHA-2 and 248-bit encryption that's virtually uncrackable. What SSL is, according to Google, an SSL, Secure Sockets Layer, certificate is a digital file that verifies a website's identity and encrypts communication between a browser and a web server. SSL certificates are used to protect sensitive information like credit card numbers, addresses, and names from being intercepted by hackers. Also, usually an SSL certificate is purchased annually. Seems kinda weird. I'd wonder what he's doing on his devices. User OKNewt4550. Any updates, OP? As a Mason myself, I'm curious to what actually is happening. OP responds, so far, not much, though I've spoken with a PM who was the senior warden around the time my husband left. He says he can't remember precisely what the soliciting involved, and it was never too explicitly, but it definitely came across as creepy and invasive, along with lots of weird questions about masculinity. He's going to come around tomorrow, and we're going to discuss it with my husband then. Update, December 4th, 2024. Hi everyone, you might remember this post where I mentioned how Freemasonry, or rather my husband's commitment to it, was destroying our marriage and corroding his life. Well, I apologized to the craft because Masonry had nothing to do with my husband's antics. In my update to the post, I mentioned I had spoken with the current worshipful master, basically the lodge's chair, and he informed me my husband had demitted from that lodge years ago and never joined any others. He did suggest it could be a clandestine lodge, and in a way I hoped this would be the case, but I think we both knew that was highly unlikely. He also ended up putting me through to a past master who was a senior warden of the lodge around the time my husband quit, and apparently it was a jumped before he was pushed situation. I did mention my husband was in trouble for soliciting his brothers, but the worshipful master couldn't tell me any more. The past master vaguely remembered it, and while it seems no one was exactly sure what he was soliciting them about, it was described as invasive and strange behavior. Me and the past master David, might as well use names, had a good long chat before he offered to join me in discussing this with my husband, Kevin, with the hope being we could get through to him and steer him off whatever course he was on. Sadly, I don't have good news. David came around on Monday, and we talked a lot beforehand. Kevin was out, of course. Most of our chat was just him being generally supportive, but he did start asking questions that were definitely leading into the clandestine lodge route, though he dropped that as a theory when the lack of self-care became evident. Midway through our conversation, Kevin comes home, and when he comes in, I say there's somebody I'd like him to meet, and he just deflects by saying he's tired from lodge and will have to do it tomorrow. David introduces himself anyway, explicitly as a past master. Kevin ignores him, but then goes through to the kitchen, pours himself a glass of milk, and starts scrolling through his phone at the kitchen table. We went through and sat down at the table, too. So, without a word, he got up and went into the living room. So we followed him there, where David said, "We know he's not attending lodge because he was the senior warden when my husband left." Kevin does this weird laugh and says, "So it's a crime to move lodges then?" David says no other lodge in the area took him on. And Kevin goes a little bit red before saying that's because he switched to PHA. And then sort of insinuates David is racist for taking issue with that. PHA is the Prince Hall affiliated Freemasons, and it's founded by African Americans, according to the Wikipedia page. David says he spoke to all the PHA lodges in the area too, and he's got friends with a lot of their members, so he knows he's lying again. Kevin just says, "Look, he's tired, he's not doing this, but I told him we know something's up. And, well, the majority of you thought it was drugs, so I just said, 'Look, is it drugs?' He said no, but finally admitted, yes, there was something up, and asked if he could show us something. Just he needed to go to his car. David said that's fine. We'll come with him. Well, I guess in Kevin's defense, he did need to go to his car. In the trunk, he got out this black sports bag, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for what he showed us was inside. When we got back into the house, he got out this near lifelike latex horse mask and other latex and latex fetish gear. Full suit with harnesses and everything. If you were expecting anything to happen, there wasn't anything. We kind of just stared in total silence. Eventually, Kevin restarted the conversation by explaining he was into a BDSM fetish called pony play, and that he went down the rabbit hole a long time ago. I won't really go into the full details, but long story short, he's clearly been dealing with homosexual feelings and submissive desires for a long time, though he's still in denial about both of them and is adamant he's not bi or gay, 100% straight, etc. Obviously, he's at least, and most probably, bi, but he wouldn't hear it. Anyway, he explained when he was really struggling with these feelings, the urge, as he calls it, that's when he joined Freemasonry, because he hoped it would prove a distraction, help improve, etc. And then sort of implied being around old men would put him off guys. I could tell David was a bit offended, but he didn't say anything. But yeah, apparently this is what the soliciting was about. Obviously, joining the Masons didn't make these feelings go away, so he said he initially started trying to see if any of them felt those feelings too, but no one would bite. Apparently, midway through, he discovered the pony play rabbit hole on a BDSM website and was utterly hooked. This is when his soliciting went from, "Hey, I'm having these feelings towards guys. This is totally normal, right, brother?" to, "Hey, are you looking to buy a pony, brother?" He claimed he didn't leave because he was being disciplined, but because of how goddamn prudish everyone was. Yeah, apparently he was already deep into the hole, and while he'd been attending lodge a couple times a month legitimately, the other times were him doing BDSM stuff. Apparently it began with escorts, but eventually he graduated to pro-doms because too many of them found it weird or weren't into it enough. There's one main one he goes to the most, called Mistress Candy, but when she's busy, he'll go to other ones, and if that's not an option, he'll go find a cheap hotel to self-care or do it with an online mistress. Oh, there's a lot of them apparently, and that was how he got into findoms, where the whole thing is he gives them money for nothing in return. I don't really know how to describe how I felt as this all came out. The shock, the betrayal, the rage, the upset, the hurt. I suppose I feel quite numb now, but none of it could have prepared me for what he did next. David said, "So, you've been having an affair then, and using the craft as cover." Kevin got very angry and said, "He's not been having an affair." This sparked an argument, again, won't go into the details, where Kevin's excuse was that at no point was he in control during this, because Mistress Candy made use of hypnosis to control him, and sometimes the urge was so powerful it would M-shift him into Sparkles, his pony persona, involuntarily. He didn't use this as an example, but I guess it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. Again, no remorse or contrition, and he said we can still fix this with couples therapy because apparently I wasn't satisfying his needs. How did he come to that conclusion? Well, I never independently suggested pony play and give him an avenue to open up about it. This is somehow my fault. I won't go into the arguments that followed, but it ended with me packing a bag and David taking me to my parents' house. I have told Kevin I'll be seeking a divorce, something which he's also in denial about. Because the marriage is dead. Clearly he values his time playing dress-up as a horse more than he does me as a person, so I might as well let him focus on that. I'm staying with my parents right now and taking some time off work until I can clear my head. Can't sleep, so figured I might as well try and get this out of my system. It has helped, honestly. I'm also currently no contact with Kevin, and it'll be staying that way until I can serve him papers. Who knows what the future holds there, but he won't be in it. Though, if you want some good news, I'm finally joining the OES, the Order of Eastern Star. David explained to me I can join via my grandfather, so I'm going to be meeting with the secretary next week. Thanks for being on this wild ride and helping me see reason. I guess I would have probably gotten here anyway when the Worshipful Master messaged me, but it was nice to know I had people on here, and especially those who talked it through with me in DMs. You guys know who you are, and you were awesome. Otherwise, have a great day, and peace out. You know, out of everything it could have been, I would have never guessed latex pony play being what it was. Like, if that's your cup of tea, more power to you. You do in your bedroom is totally on you. Just don't lie to your wife about it, and don't lie that you're doing something that you're not. And don't claim that you were hypnotized into being Sparkle, so technically it's not an affair. That's not how hypnosis works. You also can't expect your wife to be omniscient and just know exactly that you're into an extremely obscure kink. It's kind of fucked, dude. It's also kind of fucked up that you were actively preventing your wife from joining the Freemasons to keep your secret safe, something she wanted to do under the guise that you were still actively pursuing it, when you weren't, because you weren't being honest with your wife, and then blamed her that you never brought it up. Like, dude, what were you expecting? Come on, man. Cross posted to UhOhConsequences by me! Eyes! Posted to Best Of and collected by Feisig the Duck. And their tagline is, "Am I the drama?" The original OP is Redhead Bows, posted to r/2x chromosomes. I just got yelled at by another attorney in mediation. Posted March 9th, 2023. A grown-ass man just fucking yelled at me in a professional setting in front of the mediator, not my client at least. Not my boss, not my superior. Not that that would make it okay, but someone with the same qualifications and education as me. Almost looked over my shoulder to see who the fuck he thought he was talking to. I'm still seething. Anyone know a good curse to make someone shit himself in traffic? Thanks for letting me steam. Update, April 14th, 2023. Oh my god, the schadenfreude is so strong right now. My happy little heart. I had to tell someone because I'm just well and truly delighted at the moment. So, in my last post, I was fuming because this dude had the temerity to yell at me in a professional setting. Well, that was the end of any working relationship we could have had. He's on my shit list. Forever. Anyway, we finish up the case with him trying to add stuff into the judgment of divorce that we hadn't agreed on, taking stuff out that we did agree on, and removing boilerplate stuff because we didn't agree on it in mediation. Dude. Fast forward to today. Judgment of divorce has been entered and signed by the judge. My client was awarded the house and their new parenting time schedule is supposed to start. I forwarded it to my client and he's immediately calling me to tell me that his now ex intends to come to the house on Sunday and continue living there because, shocker, she doesn't have a place to live. Skating over the fact that that was a big reason we agreed to 50-50 custody. It says right in the JOD, this judgment is effective immediately upon entry. I checked with 2 other more experienced attorneys to make sure I had it right, and I do. He is not required to let her stay there. Well, now this dickbag that yelled at me is in a tizzy. He told his client that she would have until May 1st to stay in the house. But he didn't include it in the JOD. Sucks to suck. So he's got his assistant calling me to beg me to let his client stay in the house until May 1st because we had a conversation where you were going to allow her to do that. I have no memory of this conversation. It's not in the JOD. Judgment of divorce, I forgot to specify. And the parole evidence rule is a thing. And it just so happens I'm not particularly inclined to be accommodating. Sorry, bro. Hope you don't get grieved. All he could do now is file a motion to try to get her back in the house, which is delightful for me because he took his case pro bono, and I'm still getting paid. And the absolute best part, he can't even ask for attorney's fees for enforcement of this JOD because that was the boilerplate paragraph he made me take out. I wanted a curse that made him shit himself in traffic, but this was so much better. Thanks again for letting me vent, friends. Edit, many of you have beautifully big hearts, and I love you for that. Let me just set your mind at ease. No one is homeless, I promise. They each spent week on, week off in the house for months. She has a place to go. If she can't accommodate the kids yet, my client has already said he would make arrangements with her to see them, before I even advised him to. She told the court, the mediator, her lawyer, and us that she had her own place, when she didn't. She intentionally brought an allergen into the shared house, which resulted in an ER visit and necessitating a professional cleaning. She needs to be barred from the house, but she's not homeless. She intentionally brought an allergen in the house. Kids are involved. How much y'all want to bet that she tried bringing a pet into the house to try to bribe the kids to like mommy more than daddy? Hell, maybe even tried to purposely contaminate the house so that way the husband wouldn't want it, or ex-husband. Also, her attorney played Russian roulette with a magazine-fed gun. He played it between himself and his foot. Like, you yelled at opposing counsel, ruining any chance at you two actually working to find a conclusion that works for all parties involved. And on top of that, you removed clauses in the settlement that would have actually helped you after you made a massive fuck-up and told your client one thing that the JOD didn't actually have. And then when you went to correct it, oops, all the consequences just came pouring out. Like an idiot who cut PEX pipe while the water main was still on. Me, I'm the idiot. I accidentally turned the sprinklers off and not the main house water line because they're really close to each other. And then I cut it and learned really quickly what 2 to 3 gallons a minute looks like. In the end, though, the new water line I installed looks really good and my plumbing is immaculate and no leaks, but, that's no leaks with a big asterisk next to it because, 2 to 3 gallons a minute got sprayed out because I'm an idiot. Posted to, UhOhConsequences by Dickie Anders. This post was originally posted to r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for dress choice? Mog. I realize now that probably means mother of groom, but I like the idea of my dress choice mogged them. Anyways, My eldest son got married a few months ago. Early on, I spoke with both my son and his fiancée about my choice of dress. The wedding was an outdoor daytime ceremony with an English garden feel, followed by a tented reception in the wedding. I also spoke at length with the mother of the bride. She didn't suggest that I wait for her to choose her outfit and seemed very relaxed about everything. She told me she planned to wear something modest and daytime appropriate for the ceremony. She's British and Orthodox Jewish. Possibly with a hat or fastener, and then change into a floor-length gown for the reception. I went dress shopping with friends and my sister-in-law and tried on many dresses, but none of them had the wow factor I was hoping for. I kept feeling disappointed and honestly a bit deflated because this was my son's wedding and I wanted to feel confident in how I looked. I sent photos of several options to my son and his fiancée so they could weigh in. My future daughter-in-law was very supportive and said I'd look beautiful in anything, and that she mainly wanted me to feel comfortable. She did repeat several times that her mother planned to wear a midi or tea-length dress or a two-piece ensemble for the ceremony, and something more formal for the evening. Eventually, I found the dress immediately, felt that wow feeling I'd been missing. I shared it with my son and daughter-in-law and asked for their honest thoughts. My daughter-in-law said it was beautiful and elegant and that she was happy I'd found something I felt confident in. She did ask whether I might consider something more subtle and sent me some links. She said she wanted me to feel comfortable and confident, so I assumed it was fine to go with my original choice. My son later called and asked if I had liked any other dresses or would consider something less flashy. I told him honestly that no, this was the only one that really gave me that wow factor and made me feel good. He said okay, so I took that as settled. I sent a photo of my dress to the mother of the bride who hadn't yet picked her outfits. She later told me she found a cream, light purple, and light blue outfit for the ceremony that she felt would complement my colors. Then she was planning on changing into a black, floor-length gown for the reception. She told me my dress was beautiful. The week of the wedding, my daughter-in-law was very stressed. I told her I'd brought a steamer to help her with her dress and thought I might see her before the ceremony. But she didn't invite me in the bridal suite before ceremony. I had previously asked a few times to see photos of her dress, but she never showed me any. Since the wedding, my son and daughter-in-law have been distant and asked me not to share wedding photos. My son later told me his wife felt I made my dress too much of a focal point in the planning process. I'm honestly not sure what I did that crossed a line, which is why I'm looking for outside opinions. Okay, OP is obviously in the wrong here, and the consequence is that you upset everyone despite them trying to be as kind and polite as possible, that you should not pick that dress. Oh, hey, here's a dress that I want to wear. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you feel confident in that. But here are some other options. That should spell it out plain as day, honestly. Now some comments. User Narringham. You're the asshole. You did make your dress the focal point of the planning process because you wanted to stand out. Guess what? This wasn't your day, it was your son and his wife's day. You should have been happy to have her stand out while you faded into the background. You wanted the spotlight and ignored your son and the bride telling you to tone it down. OP responds, who has the unfortunate name of Fragrant Swimmer. It just isn't fair. She wore something very plain and my son seemed enamored. Like he was bawling while she was walking down. I spent hours picking out the right dress and the right shoes, and my makeup and hair was amazing. I did look good, as I should. And my son loves her and is now repeating to me that I supposedly hurt her feelings. I don't think these little things are meant to get in the way of family. They could have gotten married without us. Parents are meant to be respected in Jewish culture. I adapted to my husband's family when I got married. I just think she's overly sensitive and is taking out her insecurities on me. Why are you upset that the bride was the focal point of the wedding and your son was enamored with the bride and not you? Next comment thread, Gatina 1. You're the asshole. You're a drama queen, plain and simple. User Darcil comments, in a comment she says she believes her daughter-in-law was jealous of her, LMAO. OP responds, I just mean I can't think of another reason why she'd be cold to me. I didn't wear a fully white dress, it was navy and white. I didn't do anything insane. Heck, I think she maybe regretted her dress choice when she saw mine because hers was more modest, and she is a very introverted person and doesn't love attention. I don't feel bad for wanting to look my best. It was my son's wedding after all. Most of the guests were our family side, I don't know. She hasn't spoken to me since, and when we went to see them a few months after the wedding, refused to be alone with me in a room. User KeySouth responds further, "My son, my best, my family, me. I wonder why her daughter-in-law has an issue." Comment from user Swirly Flurry. "You're the asshole. You're not the bride. Your appearance shouldn't be a wow factor at the wedding. Both the bride and the groom were urging you to tone it down, to not be so flashy. You ignored them. Now you're facing the consequences." User Red Strawberry Cake comments, "Yep, OP referred to the daughter-in-law as jealous in a previous comment. Both the son and the daughter-in-law had told her that the dress was too high contrast, and they tried to gently tell her to choose another dress because of this. It seems she didn't care for their opinions. Kind of seems like OP wanted people to fawn over her and her dress." OP responds, "Okay, but is it such a big deal to want to look good? I've had 3 boys and my body isn't as it once was. I want to look good. My husband told everyone beforehand how good my dress looked. Apparently that was a faux pas too because I apparently didn't compliment the bride on her dress. I don't know. I don't really want to talk to her during the wedding day. She looked very beautiful and hardly had to put much effort in. And worst part, she had a father-daughter dance and my son didn't ask me to do one. I was livid. I didn't bring that up to her though. I'm not trying to create drama post-wedding the way she is. And I danced with my son regardless even if we didn't have a dedicated moment." User Thickest Evil Ice Cream comments, "Okay, you're the asshole, dress aside. You didn't want to talk to the bride on the wedding day? Also, maybe stop blaming the bride for your son's choice not to have a dedicated moment for you at his wedding. If he wanted it, he probably could have had it. Take a step back and ask yourself if you're someone who you would want to be around." OP responds, "Well, I asked him about it afterwards and told him it really hurt my feelings. My daughter-in-law's father is sick, or so she says. So she was sharing at one point a few song ideas she had for her and her dad that were sentimental to her. Honestly, whatever, she has poor taste in everything. I told her, well, I sure hope you've carved out time for son and I. And she told me, yes, of course. That's for your son and you to figure out the details. As long as the info is passed to the DJ and we have the reception details down. But then my son never brought it up with me. And then she had the audacity of dancing with her dad. And a long song too. Apparently he has some sort of neurological condition or something, and so she wanted to not rush him during the dance, but I think it wasn't fair. I made a point of grabbing my son as soon as their dance was over and dancing with him regardless because it isn't fair! And things need to be fair! User Sinkfoot Lohan comments, "What the fuck, lady? LOL, you cannot be serious. You think she's lying about her father being ill? I mean, that's bananas. BRB, need to call my mother-in-law and tell her I'm grateful she's normal." This is 100% a boy mom, and she's actively blaming the bride for not having her mommy-son dance when it's pretty clear the son wants nothing to do with you during the dance process. Why does she get all the attention during her wedding? What the fuck? It's not fair! This was actually posted to UhOhConsequences by GamerGirlX77. Cross-posted from r/bestof, and this post was originally collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is 101-720-25 throwaway, posted to r/offmychest October 17th, 2025. "I'm headed for divorce, but my lawyer has given me the best news ever." My lawyer gave me the best news. My, female 38, husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, has been cheating on me, and he wants her instead of me. I'm probably naive because I didn't see this coming at all. I was researching vacation options for our 10th anniversary next year, and meanwhile, he, male 39, was running around with another woman. She's either 25 or 27, I can't remember which. I never thought heartbreak like this was real, but he broke my heart. I've known people who've gotten a divorce and you have to live separately for a year before you can get a divorce. But I wanted to be prepared, so I made an appointment with a lawyer now. It was probably the best thing I've ever done. She told me that in our state, alimony is forbidden if there's adultery. Since my husband cheated, I won't have to pay alimony. I was prepared that I would have to pay out the nose, but I have proof that he cheated, that he gave me himself. So I won't have to pay him. This was the best news I could have gotten. Also, the living separately for a year only applies to no-fault divorces in my state. Since I have proof he cheated, my lawyer went ahead and filed on behalf based on adultery. Technically, my husband and I still live together. Our lease expired on the 31st, and the countdown on our separation was supposed to start November 1st. I wish I could be there to see his face when 1, he gets served with notice that I filed, and 2, he finds out he won't get alimony because he cheated. He wanted a no-fault divorce, and I know he was counting on getting alimony. It was the best news I could have gotten. I don't even have words for how amazing I feel. Top comments. Commenter 1. Congratulations! Come back and share his reaction, please. Commenter 2. I love this for you. And him. The best revenge is to live your best life and leave him in the dust. Commenter 3. I've never been so excited for a stranger to get a divorce in my life. Buy that lawyer an edible arrangement. Update. December 4th, 2025. 1.5 months later. This is kind of anticlimactic, but there were some comments on my original post asking me, female 38, to update what happened after my husband was served with the divorce papers. I also want to thank everyone for the kind comments they left. Even though I had gotten good news from my lawyer, this has still been the most horrible time of my life, and all the encouragement did help. My husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, male 39, was predictably not happy when he was served, and found out I had filed for divorce. He was under the impression that we had to be separated for a year first. I just told him to talk to a lawyer. We both moved out of our condo during the last week in October when the lease ended, and we live separately now. A few days after he was served and I told him to talk to a lawyer and leave me alone, my husband told me he's changed his mind and asked if we could work things out. I said no fucking way, and told him to have his lawyer talk to my lawyer because I'm done talking to him. He was upset and almost in tears when I said I wouldn't reconsider. It's been a month and I have not seen or spoken to him. He hasn't tried talking to me again. Edit, and I'm extremely happy about it because I don't want anything to do with him ever again. Our lawyers are doing all the communicating. He may have been upset, but he broke my heart first, and even the good news from my lawyer hasn't erased how broken I feel. Edit to add, I'm turning off my messages so people will stop DMing me and calling me two-faced or other names for being disappointed that he hasn't contacted me again. I'm actually happy he hasn't because I want nothing to do with him ever again. I'm the opposite of disappointed. Relevant/top comments. OP's only comment to a downvoted comment regarding the divorce can be difficult and how complicated feelings about how it's playing out. OP, I'm ecstatic that he hasn't tried to contact me again. I had hoped he would stop trying to talk to me after the first time when I told him to get a lawyer. I'm upset he contacted me a second time. I thought I was clear the first time, but I'm glad he got the message the second time because I want nothing to do with him ever again. Commenter 1. I'll bet she dumped him. Commenter 2. He realized he derailed the gravy train and his new girlfriend dumped his broke ass. Good for you, you deserve better. Commenter 3. I bet his girlfriend dumped him, plus he has nothing to gain from the divorce. So, of course his pathetic ass wants to reconcile. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but time will dampen the pain. Wishing you the best. Oh no, consequences! My wife found out the no-fault divorce thing doesn't apply here because I gave her evidence that I cheated and now she gets to divorce me and not have to pay me any alimony, so now I want to reconcile. And my girlfriend probably broke up with me. Oh no! Idiot. Also, I am not a fan of the fact that there are states out there that have to push you through 1 year of separated living before you're allowed to get a divorce. That seems weird. I don't like that. Like, is there like an actual solid reason behind this, or is this just well, maybe you guys after living apart will realize how much you miss each other and you won't want a no-fault divorce anymore? Kind of like a weird bullshit controlling tactic? Let me know. Unfortunately, today I wasn't able to do the fun outro. I had a bit of a rough morning and a slow start, and that's why today's video was so goddamn late. Bit of a weird morning. That's just what I'll leave it at. I hope y'all are taking care. Don't forget to use code OZ at checkout with GamerSupps. You get 10% off, and it directly supports the channel. Actually, low-key GamerSupps has kind of been paying like a majority of my bills, so I've been actually able to like buy furniture and stuff like that around the house. It's been really cool. I'm actually like, kind of getting back on my feet. So thank y'all. Anyways, I'll catch y'all tomorrow.